Joining us now, Congressman, Texas, District 36, Brian Babin. Congressman, good to have you with us, man.
Great to be with you this morning, John. How are you?
I tell you what, Congressman, I'm very, very well. All of us saw the fall yesterday by now with Hillary Clinton. We do on our show wish her a speedy recovery so she can get back on the campaign trail and engage in the issues. Here's my first question. Should Donald Trump release his medical records?
I thought the same thing yesterday for weeks and weeks we've seen evidence of something going on with Mrs. Clinton's health. And for weeks and weeks and months, we've seen absolutely nothing but a hugely energetic 70-year-old Donald Trump. I mean, the guy never stops. He sleeps about 4 or 5 hours a night. And here are the Democrats suddenly demanding to see him release his medical records. Well, there's no evidence of anything wrong. The guy's got tremendous energy, tremendous health. I don't see any reason for Donald Trump to release his health records, for goodness sakes. But, when we see Hillary collapse yesterday, it did not look good. There is something going on. So I think the American people deserve to know what's happening there.
Well, something's going on. I mean, and I tell you, part of the problem, Congressman, is the Clintons are not forthcoming on anything, as you know. So
No.
It's not like they have any kind of a track record of believability. We know they manipulate, they hide, they cheat, they lie, they steal. I mean, that's all they've done. They never tell you the truth about anything. So, apparently she was diagnosed with pneumonia on Friday. We didn't get that. That didn't get released in the media until Sunday after she collapsed. So pneumonia, I mean, that's not something that you can shake off. I mean, or blow off, right? You got to get rest.
Oh, not at all. I'm not a physician, but I am a dentist. I'm a healthcare provider, and I can tell you that pneumonia is a very serious and bad actor.
Yeah, it certainly is. And what happens now? I mean, she's got 2 weeks before the next debate. She canceled basically her West Coast trip this week to recover, relax, get rest, whatever it is. But do you think there's anything there that might prohibit her from campaigning and going forward in a vigorous manner, Congressman?
I would not predict that. I would say that Mrs. Clinton is absolutely determined, to stay in this race. She's been running for president for years. Remember, she ran at us back during when she was first lady. In the 90s, she tried to get Obamacare back then. Of course, they didn't call it Obamacare, but she's got big plans for a redistribution of wealth and a nanny state socialist operation, and I think she wants to inflict that on all Americans. And I think she's going to be bound and determined, irregardless of her health.
Well, they'll find a way to have her hang in there. But look, she's got a debate coming up in 2 weeks. It's going to be on Monday night, 2 weeks from tonight, hour and a half, 90 minutes, hot lights. She's going to have to go toe-to-toe with Trump. We'll see what plays out. I would think that if I were them, I would probably not get her out on the road for 2 weeks. I would be sure that she was fully recovered for that, because any slip up there, coughing attack, looking unsteady health-wise, I don't mean in the debate performance, but just having to grip the podium in order to not fall down, things of that nature, could be the end of her campaign. Because, look, I mean, you're not going to elect somebody that you don't feel has the stamina to execute the duties of the office, right? Nobody would do that.
Well, you remember, it's been weeks ago when Trump was telling folks, he said, I just don't think that Mrs. Clinton's got the energy. I don't think she has the energy or the health to serve as president, much even run for president. And, I don't think she's had pneumonia for months. There's been something going on there. So, we'll see what happens. That's all I can say. And you said it best, John. Hillary has got a long list of titles, very few achievements, but even a longer list of lies and corruption charges. And the fact that she just had her first press conference in about 280-something days, or nearly 280 days, tells you that I don't know how much we're going to miss her being in front of a camera anyway, because we haven't seen her answer very many serious questions at all. In fact, in that last press conference, I think all they pitched her was softballs the whole time.
Look, Congressman, absolutely. I mean, she has a first press conference in 280 days. All this stuff with the Clinton Foundation, these emails have come out. And rather than ask her about that, here's the line of questioning went something like this. Hey, Trump is really awful, isn't he? That was basically their line of questioning. Now, let's get to Clinton's comment, Congressman Babin, at a fundraiser for Barbra Streisand Friday night, where she said that you can put half of Trump's supporters in the basket of deplorables. This right now, Trump is in the national polling, he's about 40%. This means that you're talking about 25 million Americans, somewhere in there, 25 million Americans. Does she have this level of contempt and disdain for that many people?
I think she does. I think she's had it for many years. I mean, we've been witness to the Clintons' escapades for 25 or better years. Remember the vast right wing. What is it? The
conspiracy.
Vast conspiracy,
right.
and now we're when 25 million Americans are in the basket of deplorables. This is the epitome of the elite establishment politicians class in the United States of America, and I hate to say it, but it goes across both parties. But she is certainly the array of adversaries to Mr. Trump includes all the political, the media establishment, the academia. He's got a huge array of adversaries, and here he is still leading in the polls. So I think that tells you that most Americans are very, very concerned about the status quo in America today. And when we hear Mrs. Clinton claim that her greatest qualification to be president is her steady hand of experience in the last 8 years of policy direction, and I would just say that this steady hand of a president, Hillary Clinton, would continue steering this great country in a direction that 70% of the American people believe is absolutely the wrong direction.
No question about it. Congressman, Hillary Clinton has called for an additional 100,000 Syrian refugees coming into the United States beyond what we have now. I know this has been something that your own office has been very critical of, whether she's running for president or not. Coupled with the fact that I can't get a straight answer out of anybody, why would we take 100,000 Syrian refugees in when our Gulf state partners don't take any in? Kuwait, Qatar, Dubai, Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, they're up the road. They're not taking zero. They take in zero, and we have to take in hundreds of thousands at an average cost to the U.S. taxpayer of about $80,000. And then even look at Kuwait. Didn't we liberate them with our blood? And they're taking no one. I mean, how do you reconcile this to an average working American?
You really can't. And this is one of the most appalling things that I've seen over the last couple of years. And I introduced a bill. I think you alluded to that. It's H.R. 3314, the Resettlement and Accountability National Security Act of 2015. And back when I dropped this bill, which was July of 2015, very, very few people were even discussing the refugee issue. And but I could see in my staff, and it was a dangerous program. And of course, in the last year and 3 months, we've seen some of the disastrous atrocities and terror attacks around the world. But we don't have to look any further than Western Europe to our allies to see what's in store for us if we continue to let tens of thousands and even hundreds of thousands, as Mrs. Clinton is promising, of these refugees that we can't vet. I mean, our own FBI director says he cannot properly vet these people, and yet that means nothing to Obama or Hillary or the Democrats, for that matter. And, how can we be so willfully blind to let the same thing that's going on in Western Europe happen here? and yet it's happening. President Obama has already brought in his 10,000th Syrian refugee into this country. All of them on, at least, let me not say all of them, but 95% of them are already on federal welfare programs. And then they get settled around the United States and local communities. And then they roll off onto the local and state on the welfare rolls, become a great burden. And then we see the no-go zones in Western Europe where the local mosque and imams are radicalizing some of these folks. They don't assimilate, and then you wind up with a lot of innocent folks being killed, and that's what we do not want or need. And I think the American people have spoken loud and clear. This is a 70+% issue in the country. We do not want to open the door to ISIS here in this country. And I'm fighting very hard to keep that from happening, and I'm just so happy that we have a presidential candidate in Mr. Trump who has made this an issue, because if it hadn't been for Trump, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
That's right.
He has put it front and center, John.
That's right. I mean, look, you hit the nail on the head. There's no question about it. If we had any of these Republican candidates had been nominated, this issue wouldn't be on the table. And we'd be talking about, do we take 100,000 or do we take 500,000? That would be what the debate is right now, instead of why are we taking any of them. And again, I mean, it's not a matter of not having a big caring or having a heart or whatever. It's there are 6 states in the Middle East right there that are our allies that we spend money defending that have taken in 0. I mean, even if they were taking in 20,000 each and they asked us to take half that, they take in none. I cannot get a straight answer from anybody who's in favor of this why you simply just wouldn't pick up the phone to any of these Gulf states and say, you're either going to take these people in or we're going to cut the funding off. They do nothing.
It just kind of it looks very similar to what's going on. The families of the victims of 9/11 attack want to be able to sue Saudi Arabia, because the majority of those terrorists were from that country. There is some evidence that there was some Saudi. Not saying it was official. We don't know. I'm not saying that it was a Saudi governmental operation, but there were many Saudi people that were very, very sympathetic to the 9/11 attackers. And when the Obama administration is fighting tooth and nail to keep these families of these victims, American citizens, from being able to sue Saudi Arabia, that is a mystery to me. And it goes just back to the fact that you're saying that these people will not take in the refugees. We have a politically correct pressure being brought to bear on Western Europe and the United States to take these people in, when their own cousins and brothers will not take them in. And I think you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out why they don't want them in there, because they don't want the radicalization in their own countries. They expect us to take them, and I think we want to help displaced persons, John, but let's not be willfully blind to the fact that what we're seeing is a radicalization. This is a waging jihad by migration. This is a policy of radical Islam, and we just simply cannot allow it to go on here. And that's why we so desperately need to have a chief executive that will start protecting the American people rather than doing politically correct, inane policies like we're seeing with this resettlement program.
All right, it's going to be the final word. We want to thank Congressman from District 36 in Texas, Republican, Congressman Brian Babin, for being with us. Congressman, always a pleasure to have you on, sir. We'll have you back. Thank you so much.